Welcome to the Pleasure Program. My name is Holly.
I'm Victoria.
We're two licensed therapists specializing in sex therapy. Tonight we are reacting to some Reddit posts and we are just going to give our 2 cents.
This is titled, My Girlfriend, 24 female, isn't speaking to me, 27-year-old male, after finding out I have been with a guy. What should I do? For context, me and my girlfriend have been together for 5 years, and basically it has been smooth sailing ever since. A few days ago, though, we were having a conversation about how my university life was. Over a glass of wine, we were scrolling through pics I had. Then she asked about a guy she saw in many of them, and I stupidly told her that he was my ex-boyfriend. At first she laughed, but when she understood I was serious, she got a weird look on her face. At that point, I knew I messed up, but didn't expect her to outright stop talking to me. She didn't say a word, and I tried to have a conversation many times. Earlier this morning, she left for her parents' house, but thankfully, she hasn't packed anything, so I'm hopeful. How should I try to resolve things since she is clearly not open to discussing it?
Okay, so this is a heterosexual couple and they've been together 5 years, apparently smooth sailing this whole time.
Yeah.
And then he discloses to her that he has an ex-boyfriend and she is not taking that well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What's your initial reaction? I like the cringe.
I mean, I feel for this guy, right? Because
Yeah.
it's, it's a vulnerable thing to share. I think anything related to your sexual past with a current partner, maybe depending on, I guess, the context of your relationship. Some people really have a lot of fun talking about their past sex lives and they don't take that as a threat to their current relationship in any way. But I think especially for somebody who he doesn't really say if he identifies as like bisexual or what his sexual orientation is, but this isn't something that he's shared with her and she's not reacting well. I'm also curious about why this didn't come up sooner or why this wouldn't have been shared in the 5 years you've been with somebody.
That was my exact thought, right? Because I think people could probably jump to be like, oh, well, what is she, like homophobic or something? But what if
Mm,
she's just pissed that they've been together 5 years and she had no idea that he had a boyfriend while he was at school? Like, just the fact that he had one, right? Like, it's just maybe a big piece of his life that she feels that maybe she was privy to being with him for so long. I don't know. I could see how
yeah.
she felt like maybe something was hidden or not shared, which would hurt her feelings. I could see that.
Well, it sounds like it's a really significant part of who he is, right? Like if you're
Right.
somebody who has some sexual fluidity and that's part of who you are and you haven't shared that part of yourself with your partner of 5 years, I could see that feeling like a betrayal. Like, wait a minute, who am I dating that you haven't thought to share this with me? And I just, yeah, to me that seems like you would almost intentionally, maybe the implication is he's intentionally kept this from her.
Right. I think another aspect too is I think a lot of people have feelings when they know that their partner has photos of their ex on their phone, right? So what if it's just that? What if she's like, "Are you kidding me? Like you have pictures all of you and your ex having this great time while you're in school all over your phone? Like what is this, you know?"
I think so. It's hard to think that that would be the sticking point in this situation. Like,
I know.
you're kidding me. You've never shared with me that you've been with a man, dated a man.
Right.
But what my real problem is here is the photos of him on your phone. I mean,
Right.
it's possible. It's possible.
Maybe an additional layer.
Just
Uh,
another layer. Yeah. Well, yeah,
that's
that
tough.
that is a tough one. So is he asking a question at the end of that? I'm not sure I caught
I
that,
think
what
it
he's
was how
looking
to
for.
resolve it. So how should I try to resolve things since she's clearly not open to discussing it? That's a big question because how can you resolve something as one piece of the puzzle?
Well, clearly he wasn't really open to discussing it up until right now when
Right?
directly faced with the photos of him and his ex.
Right.
So I feel like I'm sure she's filled with questions and maybe she needs a minute, right? He said she packed up stuff,
Right.
or she didn't pack up too much stuff, but went to stay with her mom. Is that what he said?
Yeah, she went to her parents' house, but she didn't really pack anything. So he's like feeling safe, maybe that she's not leaving.
I mean, give the girl a minute to like wrap her
Right.
head around just like the disclosure that just happened.
Yeah.
You've had 5 years of smooth sailing. There's a lot of reason to think that you'll be able to sit down and talk about this. I think if you have, hopefully, if you have 5 years of smooth sailing in a relationship, that means you have some decent communication skills. Either that, or you have people that are very avoidant and withdrawn. Like no one's talking about anything. So, hey, there's never a problem. We never argue, but you're also not talking about
Right.
things.
You're both just stewing.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like happy to like, oh, we have a great relationship because we never have an argument. Like arguing and healthy debates
Right.
are part of healthy relationships. Like that should be, I think, part of your experience in a healthy relationship. Um,
Right.
so I'm just, yeah, I'm wondering, like, have she leaves to go to her parents. He never mentioned that he had a previous relationship with a man. And I think it's more about what that represents, about like who you are and your sexuality and how much of yourself and your history that you're sharing with your partner. And so you got to wonder, you have a 5 year relationship with hardly any issues, but like, are you both very avoidant of,
Yeah.
I don't know, the tough stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. I would be ready to answer some questions if I were him for sure, because she's probably going to have a lot of questions because there's a lot of question marks, right? Like when someone finds out something about someone that they've known for a long time, it can kind of shatter their image of that person of like, wait a second, do I even really know who you are if I'm missing
Mm-hmm.
this big piece of who you are for this long period of time? Right? So
Yeah.
it's tough when something like that happens.
I think advice to him I would have would be to acknowledge that it was, a big revelation,
Mm.
that this is something significant he never shared with her, and that he
Hmm.
can imagine she might have questions or want to learn more. And instead of waiting for her to ask him questions, because if they are kind of withdrawn or avoidant in their relationship, like pursue her
Yeah.
and open the door to that and say, hey, let's sit down and talk about it. I want to tell you more about it. And maybe we can talk about why this never came up. I think he can ask himself, why has this never come up in
Right.
this relationship? Is that really just because, well, she never saw a photo and never asked? Or what is his own comfortability with his sexuality? What are his worries or concerns, if he has
Right.
any, about sharing this with her? Like, I think they both could do a little bit of reflecting and discussing.
Right. And if he is perfectly comfortable with his sexuality and he's just maybe one of those people that doesn't give a lot of details and they are kind of avoidant, maybe he needs to look more into that of being,
Mm-hmm.
more forthcoming, having more depth to conversation and deepening that connection with her.
Yeah, agreed. That's an
Okay.
interesting one.
Yeah.
All right. If you've enjoyed hearing two sex therapists give our thoughts and feedback about these situations, consider subscribing, stick around, join the community, or just share a comment below. What are your thoughts? Can you relate to any of these situations? Do you have any opinions here? We'd love to hear from you.